I mean, I think it is easy to see where these concepts in our conversation today has aligns really naturally and easily to sort of the enterprise sale, the more, SaaS models, the complex selling. But I think it would be really short-sighted not to see how, doing the partnering approach and leveraging a value framework doesn't work even in the most transactional sales. I've certainly tried to align my sales organizations that I've had the privilege to lead, whether they were transactional and selling out of a contact center, the more simple end of our products, all the way up through enterprise, that they all need to be focused on the outcome, right? Because in a telecom environment, if you were selling broadband for somebody running a business out of their home, what that meant was they were able to literally provide for their family, they were delivering a service to their community, and those outcomes are really important to them. So the steps, I think, themselves don't change, but perhaps the amount of time in them and the amount of effort and thought you have to put into them does. But I think these things are meaningful no matter what you're selling, no matter what market you're working in, because people want to know that they can trust you. They want to know that you're focused on them winning as much as you, that you're willing to be disclosing, that you're comfortable being interdependent with your customer. I mean, I only make money if I sell you stuff. You only make money if you have products that help your business run, right? I mean, there is a need for us to work together, and also sometimes to recognize, actually, us working together at this time does make sense.
Yeah.
And you build trust by saying, but next time, hopefully it will, right? Because it always comes around again. I think it's a very small world in sales, no matter where you sell.
It is. I mean, and there are lots of stories, aren't there, of people who sort of said, look, this isn't right for us now. In fact, go and speak to this guy. The stories when it's just such a bad opportunity, you want to stitch up your competitors. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about, look, I can see what you're trying to do here. This will be the better way for you to do that.
Yeah.
But what goes around comes around, without a shadow of a doubt.
Definitely. You talked also about, in some of the other writings, making it easier to say yes. How do we make it easier for our customers to say yes? And also just talking a little bit about that long-term focus, which I think the value framework certainly does when you think of evolving. But any comments on those two?
Yeah, and that isn't about little yeses. That's not the sort of the 80s. If you say 6 yeses or 8 or 10, or I can't even remember how many, then you're going to say yes. We're not on about those kind of manipulative techniques. It's more about just making the decision always so easy for them that there's no reason to say no, if you like. That doesn't sound quite as good if you're writing it, but I mean, I quite like the concept of sort of 3 pillars to building the proposition of value, the value prop on there, which is resonate, differentiate, substantiate. If you do that stuff right, then why would somebody not want to work with you? Yeah. So resonate, be on the same wavelength. It's got to make sense to them. They get it. They can see why they need to do it. Yeah. Substantiate, prove it. Show that you're the person that actually, all that good stuff. Yeah, I get it, but can you do that? Yep. Here's the proof. Here's the case studies. Here's what we've done. And differentiate. And this is why we're different. Now, differentiate. I've got to have to talk about this because I've got various soapboxes, as anybody who's been on training with me will testify to, and that's a differentiate. Which people say, well, we're different, so that's a differentiator. I'm like, no, it's not. It's only a differentiator if it means something to somebody. Just being different is not a differentiator in itself. Yeah. So, we're a UK-based company. Well, I don't care. I'll buy from anybody if it's the right thing. It's irrelevant. Look at the way we're all set up to work now. I don't care if you're in Latin America, if you're in North America, Timbuktu, doesn't matter. Oh, but no, it doesn't matter to me. So stop telling me about it. So anyway, that's a mini soapbox. So resonate, differentiate, substantiate. If you do those things, and again, we've gravitated back up towards more value-based and enterprise selling, but it's easy to say yes. Yeah, I get it. And present it well and sort of make it very clear that those are what you're propping your whole proposition up on.
One of the other things you talked a bit about is like addressing failure. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, because I think this is quite interesting to think about. If the customer's always right, this is a mantra that we hear, the customer's always right. How do you address failure when they have shared the responsibility of things not going right? And and so how do you address that conversation? And essentially, how does selling through partnering and utilizing something like a value framework help with that? Because at the end of the day, things don't always go right. And, we can fall on our sword, but sometimes the customer is part of that problem. And I was just curious to get your take on sort of managing through those difficult moments and how this can help us be better prepared.
Yeah, I mean, customer is always right. Big question mark over that one anyway.
Yeah.
And part of the authenticity, I mean, that's a big word in selling at the moment as well, isn't it? Is and the trust element is to say, and the challenger piece you've talked about is, so well, actually, you're thinking that, but I'm going to have to push back on it, and I'm doing it with the right intent and for whatever reason. So, kind of intercepting it early is one thing. And in a similar vein, I put this in with the self-disclosure feedback piece, which is it's about QBRs. For some reason my brain's gone very much into IT world, where that's a very popular thing. Which it's another soapbox. What are you doing to me? Has somebody briefed you on how to get Fred wound up? One of the things I say, because they've got I just do it naturally, Fred. It's a talent. It's an innate talent. No, not wound up, but excited about certain stuff. It's great. No, it's compliment. It's because what I say to people in that world, I know it's one that you work in, is QBR. Do you do QBRs? They'll go, yeah, and looks very proud. And I say, well, they're a waste of time. And wait for it. And I'll usually get it back. Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? I say, well, let's just look at this, and look, I'll be a little bit sort of black and white here, but if your QBR is along the lines of you rock up and you've got your presentation, and because you've got all your SLAs that you need to be talking about, and you present these and you say that we said that we would deliver 98% on time and we did 98.5%, and you wait for me to get excited, and I go, oh, okay. And then this other one, we said that we'd get 99%, correct, and we did. Right, okay. So what I'm trying to say is, so I'm supposed to get excited about you doing stuff that you said you would do. Well, why are we doing it? And why have you dragged me into this meeting to tell me that you're doing what you said you would? This is just ridiculous.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
So,
but those are bad QBRs.
They're bad QBRs.
I believe in QBRs. But because I do think that they're a great accountability point. But I think the most important part of that conversation is it's two-way. So it's not just, first of all, here's what we said we do and here's how we did against it. So there's a scorecard. But it's here's how our business has changed and where it's going. And then it's, Mr. Customer, how has your business changed? Where is it going? And what are the things we need to be focused on? It should be it should have 10% is the rear view mirror of here's what we did and how we did, and 90% should be what's the view that we can see down the road and where are we going, and those were the good QBRs.
They are, and that's precisely the point I'm making. So I say, so what you do is you just change out.
Got me up on that one.
It works every time. No, but it's great because then you say, no, we do it like that. So actually, that's fine. That's not a QBR. That's a QVR. It's a quarterly value review. And what we're doing is we're sitting down and saying, look, we've got all the facts and figures. They're great. We can all read spreadsheets. Let's talk about the value that this business relationship is delivering. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the stuff we've done. And even take the conversation, like you've said, it's future oriented, funnily enough, and it's almost more qualitative. So and perceptual. Do you perceive you're getting value from it? I mean, I can say, well, we're doing fantastic things. If you think, well, I just think it's a bit normal, Fred, actually. Well, that's your perception. I've got to do stuff about that. So yeah, you're right. It's a good one and a bad one. I'm just messing to make the point. But QVR, quarterly value review, where funnily enough, I think one of the ways of making these good is to involve senior people. I think it's a really powerful statement from the sales organization side to say, look, when we have these things, we will bring in somebody from pretty high level. The reason we do that is because they are absolutely interested in that you're getting the value from this relationship. They want to hear it because if they think for whatever reason, if you say that you don't, they need to do something about it. And they are in that position, they can make things happen very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It's also tactically quite a good thing because if they're going in, then they'll probably be matched by somebody from an equally high level, and we start to open up the doorways to other conversations. But it's a very positive stance, I think, to say, look, this is the agenda, this is how we do these things. We're not just going to go through facts and figures and focus on past. It's very much, as you said, about where are we going, because there are some changes that we want to talk to you about because we think they're relevant to you. You will have changes. Let's thrash them out. Have the senior people there, because they might talk about things that other folk wouldn't know, and then we get a very, very good positive one of what you've described as well, to be fair. So
Yeah.
so yeah, you've got to prod people with a stick sometimes when you're training to get the reactions.
That's true. But I mean, I think if they're done right, what they should be doing is evidencing that you are selling through partnering, that actually you are collaborating together with your customer, because then those conversations have a benefit for everyone. You're right. I mean, if you're just going to come and show them a scorecard, you could email that. I mean, really, nobody needs to sit and talk about it. And they've already experienced it, by the way, because it was in the past. And, you know, it might even be a bit of a sore thing to bring it up again. But if they can be future orientated, focused on the art of the possible, talking about, you know, where are those challenges and the outcomes that you need to achieve now, and what's standing in the way of you doing that, and how can we help you get there? That you know, people are more interested in that, aren't they?
They are, and that's what partnering, that's what relationships are about. And so that's what I'm using to answer your question about addressing failure, in that kind of, I mean, the answer, I suppose, is you don't let it happen because you're intercepting stuff earlier. You're sort of picking up on, oh, that would have gone wrong type thing. Or actually, no, we didn't think that we've had a good experience so far because this happened. Right, okay, well, tell us about it. Look, we're here. We're not naughty schoolboys, we're all adults here. Talk to us about what it was, what went wrong, why you thought it was failure. Because actually we thought it was pretty good, but that's irrelevant. So it's having those kind of structures and being, you know, very deliberate in how you disclose information, how you feed back. So again, it's using those elements which we see in good partnering to address that, and to sort of to front it up, say, let's hit it face on. Let's just hope nobody notices, because they will. So
well, we have had such a great time talking together. I am very excited to read your book. I know that we have to wait. I think it's September 4th it comes out. Is that right?
September the 4th. Yep, that's when it's
Selling through partnering skills. Before I let you go, I want to close out with one last question, because it's also on a high note. And I was really thrilled to see that you had mentioned it. And it's about celebrating success. And, you know, my first thing, honestly, when I saw it was, do people still do that? Because I remember going out and celebrating contracts with customers jointly, you know, like it was a big deal. We finally arrived at this place. And I have to say, you know, I've still done it, but it does feel like it happens less. So I wanted you to talk about, you know, why would it be important that we still do this? And notwithstanding COVID, of course, and in today's business environment where there is more restraint about, you know, being entertained by, you know, entertaining clients and different things. What are some of the best ways that we can celebrate success with customers?
Yeah. So actually, yeah, maybe that we could learn from the 80s. We can go back to those great big excessive lunches and £1,000 bottles of wine and the rest of it. So yeah, we're not going to throw everything away. We'll take all the sales
before my time, I just want to say.
Yeah. We've all seen the films though, haven't we? I think, yeah, I mean, you can do it, and as you've intimated there, yes, you can sort of say, yeah, haven't we done well? We've made a load of money on that deal. Great. But actually, if you think about how that has all worked, if we're really into this more collaborative sales stance, because we're interdependent, because we've done it together, it's almost going to become self-fulfilling anyway, in that let's be very deliberate about it and celebrate as the sort of various parties involved. I say various because it might not just be two. It could be other people start to get more involved in a complex sale. And so there's different providers, different vendors and stuff. So it's rather than say, right, yeah, come on, let's move on to the next, because we are getting busier and busier. You can almost say, oh yeah, month's end gone, next. It's like, let's just stop and do that, because it will only strengthen what's going to go on in the future.
Yeah.
You know, and we talk about the human element to it. And when I say people don't buy from people, they do. So we get all of those elements by saying, you know, haven't we done a good job?
Yeah.
And even just for a practical, how do you do it? You know, it's a super QVR. It's a quarterly value review. It's not even a quarterly. It's just a value review. We're going to sit and say, haven't we all done really, really well here? Yeah, and reflect on it. But just before we go off down the pub and whatever, let's just have a look at the things that we did. What would we highlight as being the best things? And let's capture it. Because we do postmortems, don't we? Oh, we lost that. Let's look at all the things that you did badly, because you did, I didn't. Yeah, we've all been in those postmortems. But let's have a success kind of, yeah, this has all went well. Let's capture this stuff, because we can do that again and again. So even if it's as simple as just saying, let's block some time out, have that meeting, go out, have a nice meal, whatever. Can't do that at the moment. We can hopefully sort of stack them all up and have a really big sort of success. But it's very much that mentality, isn't it? And just sort of saying, no, that's your job, to be successful. Yeah, but it's tough sometimes. So it's nice to be recognised as well. So.
Well, I think there's two types of those as well. There's sort of the internal, where we recognize those successes, but I think the one that you articulated there is the most important one, which is going out and celebrating in some capacity or acknowledging in some way the success with your customer. If they've had a big project and they've implemented something and it's created a change in their business, why don't we have sort of like this type of press release that goes inside of their business and inside of ours that acknowledges our teams working really well together? And wouldn't that not only highlight the employees who maybe brought that to fruition inside of that customer environment, but it would also help showcase our brand and build the strength of what we've been able to do together. And I think that that's really important. And earlier, when in the very beginning of our conversation, we talked about trust. One of the questions that came to mind is it's easier, it seems, to build trust when you have more complex sales environments and complex products that people use for a really long time. And so they're very wedded to you, and you do things like QBRs. But in a transactional sale environment, I think one of the greatest things that we have at our disposal to build trust is the strength of the name of our brand. And, that I think goes a long way to help or hinder employees in their effort to establish trust, rapport, credibility with clients. So, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. I do think we could probably talk for donkeys, for ages and ages about all these things. I have learned so many great tips. I can't wait to read the book. Again, for those listening, it is Selling Through Partnering Skills. It comes out September 4th, and I hope that you will take the opportunity to learn from Fred's wisdom as I have done today. Thank you so much for joining CSO Connected. It's been lovely speaking with you.
Brilliant. No, thank you so much for the invitation. I've really enjoyed it too. It's been good fun.
Excellent. Thank you.